They wanted to meet us out, didn't he?
Ladies and gentlemen, my pleasure to introduce to you the commentator for the incredible Chinook flight demonstration, Flight Lieutenant Andy Donovan. Andy. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Good afternoon to all of you. My name is Flight Lieutenant Andy Donovan, or Donners, and I have the honour to be the manager for the 2022 Royal Air Force Chinook display team. Now, boys and girls, I'm going to set you a challenge now before we start. Those of you nearest the front, please ask your parents to lift you up. I want you to look out to sea, and I want you to make as much noise as you possibly can when you see the Chinook.
No, it says in here 5 o'clock. Yeah, so look, you've just had the swordfish, haven't you? Yeah. So now we've got the Chinook, then you've got the...
It's a great joy for us to be here in Blackpool this afternoon with all of you. The display this year is being provided by those of us on number 27 Squadron based at Royal Air Force Odium in Hampshire. We're co-located there with number 7 and number 18 Squadron. And we have an additional squadron that conducts full Chinook training, number 28 Squadron at Royal Air Force Benson in Oxfordshire as well. So on behalf of the entire Chinook force, it's a great joy to be here with you this afternoon, and I hope you enjoy the display we have coming up. Now this year's Chinook display is being led by Flight Lieutenant Matt Smythe, or Schmitty. Schmitty's going to be sat in the right-hand seat of the Chinook cockpit this afternoon. And Schmitty has spent about 10 years now on number 27 Squadron. He's an experienced captain and training captain. So for those of us who are training captains on the Chinook, we are responsible for coaching a lot of the more junior pilots in flying the aircraft and developing them towards being able to fly the aircraft proficiently on operations. Now this is the only display provided by an operational squadron in the UK, that meaning a squadron that can deploy overseas on UK and international defence tasks at a moment's notice, and the rest of the squadron has indeed just returned from overseas, with the display crew being the only crew that are deployed this weekend to provide this display for you all. Now, for those of you who are looking out to sea, you'll be able to see the Chinook now coming into view, 150 feet over water. This display flown at 100 feet over land. We're going to take the aircraft very, very close to the edge of its limits this afternoon, and for a 16.5-ton helicopter, it's quite an impressive beast. The aircraft itself can operate up to 24.5 tons max all-up mass, which rather impressively means it could lift another Chinook.
It could lift another one. The lifting capacity is not.
And as you can hear that noise building now, the Chinook running in. It is my great pleasure on behalf of Smitty and the crew to present the Royal Air Force Chinook display for 2022. And a big pitch up there to about 15 degrees or so. Smitty glancing out to the right-hand side of the cockpit, looking at the pier on our left-hand side as we look at it, and waiting for his apparent ground speed to drop almost to zero before he inputs that pedal to turn the aircraft back around and point down towards the sea. This is a difficult display for the crew to be flying this afternoon. It's a lot harder for them to fly it over water, because that monochromatic surface makes it very, very difficult for them to judge height. So this is very much a crew exercise. And in the left-hand seat of the aircraft today, we have Flight Lieutenant Paul Hoyton. Paul is another very experienced Chinook captain. And he is assisting Smitty today, especially in those left-hand turns.
What a crew from Red Arrows.
Yeah, that must be, that's not Red, is that Red 10?
Yes, possibly.
Yeah, I met him yesterday.
So pitching up into the roller coaster there.
Yeah, I nearly ran him over.
Smitty is flying the aircraft solely by looking outside the cockpit. We have no head-up display on the Chinook like the incredible Typhoon display you've seen earlier. So in order for Smithy to judge his height, his speed, his angle to bank, he's doing that visually, but also with Paul providing the commentary, or what we call patter, from the left-hand seat. Paul is keeping this display safe by ensuring that he is talking about Smithy's height, as they're approaching the scene there, and they're talking about his angle to bank and his kick to make sure that he don't break any aircraft limits, he's going to explore very close to the edge of the Now positioning out to the right hand side for a 30-degree offset wing over. This one's slightly easier to see the flies in the right hand seat, because as he looks down now we can see the land a lot harder on the left hand side when he's looking out to sea for the majority of the turn.
I watched the video on YouTube and some guy...
So what I'm going to do now is try to take you into the cockpit, so we'll let you nose over and then tail turn, where we're going to try and listen to Paul providing this passive Smithy to help guide him through this display. So in between the manoeuvres there, Paul taking the opportunity to remind us that we all love the sound of the Chinook and what we call blade flap, because of course jet noise is boring. And a wing wave for you all as they go past the crowd there, setting up for the next manoeuvre. So the aircraft now in a left-hand bank, coming round to position for the quick stop. Now the quick stop is a very advanced manoeuvre used on the battlefield if we spot troops late as they come out of cover. When they can't drop smoke tactically on operations, this is the manoeuvre we use to bring this Chinook to a stop from 120 knots or more in a very short space of time. And you can now see that the ramp has dropped. And as you see, Sergeant Danny Gilderson, or Gilders, positioned onto the ramp with those big orange hands. Take the chance to wave back to him, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, because he can see you at this moment. Danny is currently balanced on his knees, unable to grip the side of the aircraft because he's waving to you, so please do wave on back. Now Danny joined the RAF in 2019, he converted to the Chinook in 2009, converted to the Chinook in 2014. And he has deployed many times overseas to Mali and the Falkland Islands and to the Middle East. And as we come to the left-hand end of the display line there, you're going to see that ramp go up. Gilders is going to move from the ramp to the front of the aircraft again. And as soon as he calls secure, Schmidt is going to pull power, and he's going to enter the Gorney corkscrew. Now this manoeuvre designed for the Chinook in Bosnia, not something we use anymore, but in that site 30 odd years ago there was a very tight valley with a landing site in the bottom of it, and the concern was that on departure the aircraft might be engaged by heavy machine guns from the cliff sides. So this manoeuvre was designed to rotate the aircraft 3 weapon systems, one on each side of the aircraft and one on the ramp, to make sure that any incoming fire could be returned. Now Smitty's got the nose down, he's gathering speed, and a 405-degree turn is going to bring him back round onto the display axis. Now give them a wave there as we hear that blade flap as they come around the corner. Where they run out to the right hand side. This is the final manoeuvres of the Chinook display here today. Unfortunately we can't show you the entire sequence over water. This point normally over land, this wing over to the right hand side would end with a running landing onto the runway that would be in front of us on an overland show. And we will be showing you what's called the two-wheel landing. So if we put power loss and there's any reason why we can't come to the harbour in order to land the aircraft, we can land it by the fixed wing. But our engineers have asked us very nicely if we would not bring the aircraft back covered in salt water this afternoon. Lack of commitment on their part. So instead we're going to show you a quick stop, and they're going to bring this to a stop at the centre of the crowd line. And look at that nose up. Now imagine if that was on a runway, how close that rear rotor disc would be to the runway surface. Our limits there is at 20 degrees nose up to make sure that we don't strike the runway at 24 degrees. And give them a big wave now as they flash the landing light. Say thank you very much to all of you this afternoon, and fly the final manoeuvre, which is an over-the-shoulder departure, designed so that if the aircraft was engaged again by heavy machine gun fire from in front of it on a landing site, we could present the bulletproof coating on the bottom of the aircraft to that threat and run away bravely. And as they exit the display area now, I'm going to make one final mention of our survival equipment fitters and our engineers, all of whom are at Blackpool Airport this afternoon, and all of whom have worked extremely hard to make sure that this aircraft is at tip-top serviceability, able to provide this display for you this afternoon. With that, Blackpool, thank you so much to all of you. It's been an absolute pleasure to be with you here again, and we sincerely hope we'll see you again in years ahead. Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
Ladies and gentlemen,